Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a classic,
Oh, yeah, real classic.
A Study in Scarlet. It's the story that introduced the world to Sherlock Holmes, but
hmm
I think there's a lot more to uncover than just a good mystery.
Absolutely. It's a story you can revisit again and again and still find something new.
Exactly, and that's what we're here to do today. We're gonna peel back the layers and see what makes the story tick.
Right. And what makes it so enduring, I think.
Yeah, and it all starts with a guy named John Watson, right?
A doctor, actually.
Yeah,
Dr. John Watson.
right. Of course, Dr. Watson.
Yeah.
He's our narrator, kind of our guide through this whole adventure.
And he's a fascinating character in his own right. I mean, he's a war veteran just back from Afghanistan.
Yeah, he's seen some things.
Definitely. He's dealing with injuries.
Physical and emotional.
Yeah, both. And he's broke, too. He's looking for cheap lodgings in London. Just trying to get back on his feet.
Doesn't sound like the ideal start to a thrilling detective story, does it?
Not exactly, but that's part of what makes it so compelling. You have this ordinary guy just trying to make ends meet, and suddenly he's thrust into this extraordinary world of murder and mystery.
And that's where Sherlock Holmes comes in, right?
Exactly. And what an entrance. I mean, Watson's first impression of Holmes is a mix of fascination and bewilderment.
Oh, yeah. Remember that scene in the lab where Holmes is practically bouncing off the walls about a new blood test?
Yeah. He calls it the most practical medical legal discovery for years.
Right. And Watson's just standing there like, who is this guy?
It's brilliant, though. It immediately establishes Holmes as this eccentric genius, not your average detective.
And it's not just the science that sets him apart. He's got this whole philosophy about deduction, about observing the smallest details and using logic to arrive at the truth.
Yeah, he's got no time for intuition or hunches. He even dismisses other famous detectives.
Oh, no, like Lecoq.
Yeah, Gabory's Lecoq. Holmes calls him a miserable bungler.
He doesn't hold back, does he?
Not at all. He's supremely confident in his own methods.
So we've got this unlikely duo. Watson, this wounded soldier looking for some direction in life, and Holmes, this brilliant eccentric who's obsessed with solving crimes. What could possibly bring them together?
Well, it's got to be a good murder mystery.
Of course. And A Study in Scarlet doesn't disappoint. It starts with a body found in an empty house.
Floriston Gardens, desolate, creepy,
And the word rage scrawled on the wall in blood.
sends chills down your spine just thinking about it.
The victim is an American named Enoch Drebber. And Watson's reaction to him is interesting.
How so?
Well, he acknowledges that a crime has been committed,
Mhm.
but there's also this sense of, I don't know, almost relief.
Because
Because Watson describes Drebber as this unpleasant character, someone who maybe wasn't the nicest person in life.
so there's a moral ambiguity there. Drebber's not a clear-cut victim.
Exactly. And then you've got the Scotland Yard detectives,
Gregson and Lestrade,
the classic clueless cops. They're completely stumped, no witnesses, no obvious motive.
just a mysterious wedding ring found at the scene.
It's the perfect setup for Sherlock Holmes to swoop in and show them how it's done.
And of course, he doesn't disappoint. He starts making these incredibly detailed observations at the crime scene, measuring footprints, analyzing cigar ash, even noticing the height of the windowsill.
He's like a human microscope.
Right. And he's already coming up with theories. He deduces that the killer was tall, strong, but had unusually small feet,
And he even gives them nicknames.
patent leathers, and square toes.
It's classic Holmes. He's already 3 steps ahead of everyone else.
And he's just getting started.
And so the chase is on. Watson finds himself swept up in this whirlwind investigation,
Going from one potential clue to the next.
following Holmes as he interviews witnesses, examines evidence.
And of course, reads those sensationalized newspaper reports.
It's exciting, but chaotic. You're never quite sure where the investigation's going to lead.
Which is exactly what makes it so much fun to read. You're right there with Watson trying to keep up with Holmes's brilliant mind.
And all the while, a killer is still out there somewhere.
Waiting to strike again. And just when you think you've got a handle on this London mystery, Doyle throws us a curveball.
Yeah, suddenly we're in the American West.
Right. It's this huge shift in scenery and tone.
We go from these dark, foggy streets of London to this vast, unforgiving desert landscape. It's almost like a completely different story.
But it's all connected, trust me. This is where we learn about John Ferrier and his adopted daughter, Lucy.
They're traveling with a group of Mormons.
Exactly. They're pioneers heading west to start a new life.
But things aren't as peaceful as they seem. There's this real sense of danger lurking beneath the surface.
Definitely. Especially with this group called the Avenging Angels. They're like this secret police force enforcing the rules of the Mormon community.
Yeah, they're pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
And they don't take kindly to John Ferrier's defiance.
No, not at all. Ferrier refuses to let Lucy be married off to one of the Mormon elders.
Which you can understand why he would object to that, right?
Absolutely. But it puts him in direct conflict with Brigham Young, the leader of the Mormons.
And Brigham Young is not a man you want to cross.
Definitely not. Ferrier is given an ultimatum: recant or face the consequences. And to make matters worse, he starts getting these creepy messages.
Like a countdown.
Yeah, a literal countdown to his doom. It's super suspenseful.
So what happens? Does anyone come to their rescue?
Well, that's where Jefferson Hope comes in. Remember him from earlier?
Yeah, the young hunter who was smitten with Lucy.
That's the one. He returns just in the nick of time. He's determined to save Lucy and help them escape.
It's a pretty daring escape too, right?
Oh, yeah. They flee through the mountains pursued by the Avenging Angels.
Sounds intense.
It is. There are all these close calls, narrow escapes. You really feel like they're fighting for their lives.
But does end well, does it?
No, unfortunately not. They're ambushed. John Ferrier is killed and Lucy is taken back to Salt Lake City.
It's heartbreaking. And Hope must be devastated.
He is completely shattered. He finds Ferrier's grave and later learns that Lucy has been forced into a marriage she doesn't want. It's a turning point for him.
How so?
Well, this is where his desire for revenge takes root. He vows to avenge Ferrier and Lucy. He's going to make the people responsible pay for what they've done.
So that's what brings him to London.
Exactly. He tracks Drebber and Stangerson across America, finally following them to London. He even becomes a cab driver so he can stay close to them.
Wow, he's really committed to this, isn't he?
Oh yeah, this is years in the making. And his plan for revenge is pretty chilling. He offers Drebber and Stangerson a choice. 2 pills, 1 harmless, 1 poison.
It's like a twisted game of Russian roulette.
It is. He wants them to face the same kind of impossible choice that he believes they forced on Lucy and Ferrier.
So what happens when he confronts Drebber?
Well, it's a tense scene. He reveals his identity, forces Drebber to choose a pill. Drebber recognizes him, of course, and is completely terrified.
I bet.
He ends up taking the poison pill and dies.
It's a dark moment, but you can also understand Hope's motivation.
Right. He's been driven to this by years of grief and anger. Exactly. But then he realizes he's lost something important: Lucy's wedding ring. The only memento he had of her.
Oh no. What does he do?
He does something incredibly risky. He goes back to the crime scene to try and find it.
Even though the police are probably swarming all over the place.
Yeah. He even encounters an officer but manages to slip away unnoticed. It shows just how desperate he is to recover that ring.
That must have meant the world to him.
It did. It was his last connection to Lucy. And once he has it, he sets his sights on Stangerson. He goes to his hotel room and offers him the same deadly choice.
And Stangerson takes the poison too.
Well, it's not that straightforward. Stangerson fights back, there's a struggle, and Hope ends up stabbing him.
So it wasn't part of the plan.
No. But it does mean that in Hope's mind, at least, he's avenged the death of John Ferrier.
So both of his targets are dead. Case closed, right?
Well, not quite. Remember, Sherlock Holmes is still on the case, and he's been using his unique methods to try and untangle this web of clues. He has no idea about the backstory, the loss, the revenge that's fueling all of this.
It's like 2 separate stories colliding.
Exactly. And it's about to get very interesting. So while Jefferson Hope is out there enacting his revenge, Sherlock Holmes is back in London putting the pieces together.
But he's missing a big piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
He doesn't know about Hope's connection to the victims.
Exactly. He's got all these clues, these seemingly random details, but he doesn't have the full picture yet. But that's what makes Holmes so brilliant. He's able to see connections where others see only chaos.
So how does he finally crack the case? What's the breakthrough?
Well, it's that missing wedding ring, the one Hope lost at the crime scene.
Ah, so that comes back into play.
It's crucial. Holmes realizes that the ring must mean something to the killer. It's not just a random piece of evidence.
So he uses it as bait.
Exactly. He places an ad in the newspaper hinting that he knows where the ring is. He's counting on the killer's emotional attachment to it.
It's a risky move, isn't it?
It is. But Holmes is confident in his understanding of human nature. He knows the killer won't be able to resist.
And he's right.
Of course. Hope takes the bait and shows up at the address mentioned in the ad.
So that's how they finally catch him.
Well, it's not that easy. Remember, Hope is desperate and resourceful.
Right. He's already killed 2 people. He's not going to go down without a fight.
Exactly. There's a struggle. Hope even tries to escape by crashing through a window.
Wow.
But in the end, Holmes and the police manage to apprehend him.
So justice is served. But I have a feeling there's more to the story. With Sherlock Holmes, there's always a twist, isn't there?
You're right. As Hope is being taken away, he reveals something shocking. He tells Watson that he's dying.
Dying.
He has an aneurysm, and he knows he doesn't have long to live.
That changes things, doesn't it?
It does. He's accepted his fate, but he wants to tell his story. He wants people to understand why he did what he did.
To clear his name.
In a way, he wants to make sure Lucy's memory is honored, that the truth about what happened to them is revealed.
So he confesses to the murders.
He does. He tells the whole story from the beginning. About his love for Lucy, their escape from the Mormons, the years he spent searching for Drebber and Stangerson, his plan for revenge.
It's a chilling confession, but also incredibly sad, isn't it?
It is. You see how deeply he loved Lucy and how far he was willing to go to avenge her.
It makes you question the whole idea of justice, doesn't it? Where do you draw the line between right and wrong?
That's one of the things that makes a study in Scarlet so powerful. It doesn't offer easy answers. It leaves you thinking about these complex issues long after you finish reading it.
And there's one final twist, isn't there?
Ah, you're talking about the newspapers?
Yeah. Do they give Holmes credit for solving the case?
Not exactly. They attribute everything to Gregson and Lestrade.
Of course they do. Poor Holmes, always getting overlooked.
It's a bit of a running joke, isn't it? The brilliant detective who works behind the scenes content to let others take the credit.
But we know the truth, don't we?
We do. And that's what matters. We've seen firsthand how Holmes uses his intellect, his powers of observation, his understanding of human nature to untangle the most baffling mysteries.
And in A Study in Scarlet, he not only solves the crime, but also uncovers a deeply human story, a tale of love, loss, and revenge that spans continents and generations.
Exactly. It's a story that stays with you. It makes you think about the choices we make, the consequences of our actions, and the enduring power of the past to shape the present.
Well, I know about you, but I'm ready to go back and reread this one. There's always something new to discover, isn't there?
There is, and that's the beauty of a classic like A Study in Scarlet. It's a story that keeps giving.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into A Study in Scarlet. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the story. What did you find most surprising? What questions are you still pondering?
Share your insights. Leave a comment. Join the discussion. We're all detectives in our own way, aren't we? Always searching for clues, piecing together the puzzle of life.
And who knows, maybe we'll even uncover a few mysteries of our own along the way.
Until next time, happy reading.
And happy deducing.